All right, this one will be a tough one. They're pretty annoying, take a lot of work, so you gotta do it carefully. But here we go. So the way we start is the same way for all these kind of problems. So rewrite as a complex number and convert to trig form. It's actually 2 steps in one, but it's no big deal. They say the cube root, you're finding the cube roots of 8 and just 8. You can rewrite as a complex number as 8 plus 0i. And the same thing like we did with De Moivre's theorem, you can graph this on a complex plane, but this time the coordinate is actually going to be 8, 0. There's only the real component, imaginary component is 0, so we'll just say it's here. So there's really no angle, but really what that means is the angle theta is 0. R is just going to be the length from the origin to the coordinate point, that's 8. Okay, I'll make it 0 radians. Yeah, so this is, the angle is still based on the unit circle. This is 0 degrees or 0 radians. Okay, so there we go. We have the 2 things we need, and now we're ready to apply this crazy equation. All right, I'm just gonna call it step 2. Okay, the one we're looking at, well, there's only really one equation, but it's a big one, and it is kind of tough to use. So I'll just try to break it down for you. We know R is 8. We know theta is 0, and that makes the problem a lot easier. Okay, but what does this mean? K equals blah, blah, blah. So why do we know that? Okay, well, first of all, n is the number of roots they're asking us to find. Cube roots, cube means 3, so n equals 3, third power. Okay, and so what's new in this is integer variable k. K is always gonna be n minus 1. So the way you do is this. I would organize your work pretty carefully. So we'll do it like this. If they want cube roots, that means there's going to be 3 different answers. 3 different answers. Okay. So we'll see like this. The first root means that k equals 0, and that's always going to be true to the first root. K is always going to be equal to 0, and so you just plug k equals 0 and these 3 variables into the equation, and that will be your first solution. Okay. So nth root r, that's cube root 8 cosine theta, which is 0, plus 2 pi k is 0 as well, over 3, plus I sine theta 0, plus 2 pi times 0 again, and power. Oh, whoops. 3. Okay. We'll do all the trig work afterwards. I just want to set it up for you right now. Second root, okay. K goes up by 1 for each new root, but the rest is the same. Cube root 8 cosine, still theta equals 0, plus 2 pi this time, k is 1. Okay, so I'll just leave the 2 pi in there this time. Third root, k equals 2, cube root 8 cosine 0 plus 2 pi, this different color, 2. So there's a lot of copy and pasting to use this equation. It's not as bad as it looks, but still a lot of work. And you gotta know your trig, you gotta do this by hand. All right, so now we're ready to basically solve each one of these, okay? Cube root 8 is gonna be 2 no matter what. This is gonna be cosine of 0, which is gonna be 1 plus 0i, okay? Sine of 0, this whole thing is 0, okay? That's gonna be 0i, all right? Same thing, cube root 8 times cosine of 2 pi over 3. is going to be -1/2 plus I sine 2 pi divided by 3 is going to be I root 3 over 2. Okay. So we'll simplify these again later on. The last step. 2 times cosine 4 pi over 3 this time. Okay, so this whole thing is 4 pi over 3. And that's also going to be -1/2 plus this time this is going to be -I root 3 over 2. One step away, 2. I'm distribute the 2 into both these terms. -1 plus I root 3, -1 minus I root 3. And we're done. These are your cube roots for 8. Whoops, forgot to do one more part, which is to rewrite that number in trig form. And so it's just looking at this part and kind of simplifying it like so. Cube root 8 is going to be 2 times cosine 0 plus I sine 0. So it's basically the step before you simplify or actually do the trig work. Okay. And that is it. And maybe your teacher will allow you to write this in abbreviated way. It's called cis, and it stands for cosine plus I sine of that angle. Okay, that's for some teachers. Let's definitely find out if you're allowed to.